Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from sortofinteresting.com. You're joining me on board good old narrowboat Tilly, and today I want to share just a few of my very early boat life memories from about 4 years ago. And really, I just want to look back and just really muse a little bit and think, those are the days. And I think that my first and very early boat life memories, ones, like I've said in the past, of amazing stress levels because I was terrified of everything, but also of extreme highs because it was the first time I was experiencing everything to do with boat life, which, like I say, it made the tiniest problems seem to be great big ordeals when they were just absolutely nothing, but also it made the tiny moments even more amazing because I'd never, let's dive straight into this video. I always remember waking up one morning and there's a clip I've used in a video in the last few months from the first couple of months that I was on board Tilly. We've got a boat coming up here, so apologies if I rock around a bit now. But I always remember being moored up at St Martin's, one of my favourite places, and where I've been lucky enough to spend months and months and months over the winter periods. And this was a beautiful sunny morning, again, only a few months after I'd bought Narrowboat Tilly. And I remember opening up the curtains and having this incredible moment where there was a heron just stood totally still on the opposite bank, just there going about his daily life looking for fish, obviously, or I hope he wasn't watching me at least. And it's like, just open the curtains and whoa, hang on, there's a heron over there. And then when I looked out the back of my goodness me, I can't make a sentence there. When I looked out of the back window down the canal, there was another heron just, I don't know, maybe 100 feet or so, maybe not even that far away, to the back of Tilly, also just at the side of the canal looking in. And again, those sort of moments that when I was experiencing them for the first time ever were like, wow, I can't believe this. And it's the same, I suppose, really, with, as I've said in many videos and other videos recently, that about 2 months ago when I opened the curtains or looked through the kitchen window rather, and saw a cormorant just rise up out of the water and then fly off. It's like those sort of moments that you can imagine seeing them for the first time. It's like, wow, I can't believe that I am just out here at home, basically, in such a beautiful area, mingled in with all this amazing nature too. So those are the sorts of things that for the first time ever were like absolutely mind-blowing. And the same with like seeing kingfishers and stuff like that for the first time, as well as like little newts and stuff that I'd seen. Oh, just great stuff like that. But I think that some of my favourite memories have all got to be with various friends for the first time on board, where there's all these bizarre experiences of not only me knowing nothing about boats, but having people who had also got zero boat experience on board, and then us going boating and happening to own a boat. So that was definitely a bizarre time of my life, really, because, like I say, there's all the stress and worry of home ownership, I suppose, as well as boat ownership. But then there's also these amazing highs with all these friends. So, for example, I mean, I spent the first night on board Tilly after I'd first bought her, and she was out at Stafford, so about 100 miles of canal away, give or take. So that night I spent alone on board Tilly and had this amazing experience where it's like the first time being in just total peace and quiet and really dark sky, with just walking out of my back door to see this incredible sky just filled with so many stars that I couldn't believe. Just great stuff like that. And it wasn't until when I started to fetch Tilly back, and my friend Helena was on board a lot with me, and she'd be getting fetched out to the boat and dropped off for a couple of days, then go back, then come out, and we did an awful lot of travelling together in those first 2 weeks, fetching her back towards the general sort of Ellesmere, like Whitchurch, Ellesmere, Llangollen, Maysby sort of area of the canal. And it was incredible to have one of my best friends of all time on board for that experience. But I always remember the first night that we'd started to fetch her back. I mean, again, all sorts of stress, terrible worry and fear doing the locks and all that sort of thing. But then mooring up, I always remember absolutely knocking in the mooring pins as hard as I possibly could, and the terror that at any given moment, for no reason whatsoever, they were suddenly going to spring out and we'd float away. But we basically moored just above the top of a lock, And so we had this great experience where we were just on the canal behind another boat, and I always remember there was a little cat on the side of the canal, and then he ran and jumped up and went through a cat flap on a boat, and we were like, it's a cat flap on a boat, it's the most incredible thing ever. So then as the night went on, we were just there, and there was 2 beds on Tilly at the time. There's a bed going across the top of the boat too. But I just remember being there, and we're in this beautiful area, but in the distance across a few fields there was, I'm not sure which one, but one of the main motorways, just, you can imagine, just with cars zipping along 70 miles an hour, one after the other, and having that in the background of this perfectly serene scenario that we'd been in for the entire day of travelling down at, say, no more than 4 miles an hour. Well, that first day I was so scared that we'd been boating so slow, I dread to think what our average speed must have been. I'd be surprised if we were pushing 1 mile an hour as an average, to be honest. But it was just that perfect moment where we're like, wow, look at this. We're just here, already home, and just moored up on a canal with nobody about really, apart from a cat. And that's the other sort of extreme opposite, this motorway with people zipping along and going to goodness knows where for goodness knows what reasons. And again, that was one of those experiences that was like, flipping heck, what on earth are we doing? I've literally opted out of society, it feels like. Not literally. So again, those sort of moments are just perfect things to look back on, and sort of almost life-changing moments, I suppose, when you're sort of confronted with, these are the choices that are available to us, these are the choices that I'm making now and I might make in the future. And again, there's a lot of food for thought, I suppose. I've got another 2 memories that are far less life-changing, and I'm not sure why they've always stuck out to me, but the first one was, again, when my friend Mike came out to the boat for the first time, and we'd had a little boat trip around Ellesmere and stuff, and I remember when we were cutting back up through Ellesmere and going through the basin, which is also a bit of a T-junction, I suppose. So because I didn't know how on earth I was meant to really act in terms of boat traffic, instead of taking the corner nice and widely so I could see if anything was coming, I decided that instead of getting in the way of anybody, I would try and take the corner narrowly, which is far worse in this circumstance because it meant that I couldn't see who was coming round the corner and they couldn't see me until it was too late. But luckily, nobody came down towards us. But my friend Mike was walking down the side of the boat, and in one of those bizarre moments where it's like, I never really thought of it until that point, because I'd taken this corner so poorly, we ended up brushing against a load of trees. So my friend sees just in time what's about to happen and starts to shuffle down the side of the boat as quickly as he can. And he's like, "You've done this on purpose!" And I'm like, "No, I swear I hadn't." Although it would have been amusing, but it was one of those things where, in actual seriousness, if he hadn't have reacted so quickly, because these weren't just nice little bushy trees, these were proper sort of cut back, horrible, sharp, hedgy, pokey sort of trees, it would have been pretty unpleasant to have got caught up in it, and especially the potential to then have been knocked into the canal and had the boat come and crush you up against the side as well. So again, it's an amusing memory for it's a nothing thing that happened over 5 seconds, but it's always stayed in my mind, maybe because it was a lesson that, even though it seems humorous at the time, if he'd have been knocked into the canal and then the boat had gone and crushed him against the side of the canal, that would have been pretty unpleasant and pretty serious, unfortunately. So yeah, one of those. Maybe that's a lesson. I think that we will end this video with the most bizarre early memory of boat life, and this was again the first time that one of my friends, Jono, had been on board. So he came down, he ended up walking a mile down the towpath, amazingly carrying bedding and all sorts, and a big French stick and all sorts of stuff like that. So that was all good. But basically, he comes to spend the night, so we moved down and we got awfully rained on first of all, and then we moved down a little bit more and turned into a beautiful sunny day like this. And just for no apparent reason, we ended up just starting to clean up the boat, give it a proper good sort of clean, because obviously at this point I'd still only owned the boat for a couple of weeks, and I'd been through everything once with the Dettol and giving it a good disinfection and all that. but we ended up literally like taking the small windows out of the window frames and cleaning those down in the sink. And then the bizarre thing, like I've always come back to this, that we took the cooker completely apart and had it broken down into all sorts of pieces, and we're literally scrubbing away at all that. And it was just one of those bizarre, really early memories that I've got, that we were just so happy and over the moon and overjoyed doing all of these simple basic household chores. And we went, like I say, I've never ever used a screwdriver to clean an oven before, and never since as well. But again, it's just those sorts of things that we were doing absolutely nothing at all that's out of the ordinary or special and would normally be considered quite boring. But we were having the time of our lives doing it, and we were just like I say, just out here. And literally, I'm not joking when I say we were like not even a 10-minute walk from this exact spot all this went down. Like, oh man, flipping heck, my voice nearly went then. Oh. So it seems pretty appropriate, I've got to say, that all of that bizarre cleaning day happened, like say, 10 minutes, probably not even 10 minutes up the canal from this exact spot. And almost 4 years later, everything's all come full circle. And where once I was cleaning the boat up to live on board, now it's a sad thing to say that I've been cleaning her up in this exact spot and dusting her down, all the rest of it, to hand her over to her new owners. But alas, who knows what life will bring and what adventures lie around the corner. But I suppose on that note, before we get too sad about it all, I'll say thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe. There's still more boat videos coming and plenty of great outdoors boating, cycling, kayaking, all that sort of stuff, walking, all the rest of it. Lots of random sort of interesting things, to use the term. Oh man. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to check out my short Kindle books you can follow those early steps of boat life in the Narrowboat Lad. So you'll find links to those and Facebook and all sorts of other stuff where you'll find loads of beautiful outdoor scenery, like say Twitter, Facebook for pictures, that sort of thing. But till the next time, just have an absolutely fantastic day. Keep it boat worthy, keep it interesting, and of course, farewell.